Welcome to today's Emunah Minute. This week we have the incredible privilege to read the double parashos of Matos and Maseh. And in the first parashah, Parashas Matos, the Torah goes through the details regarding the Jewish people's war with Midian. This was an important piece because the war with Midian closed out the entire chapter with Balak and with Bilam. And the Jewish army comes back, of course, victorious, but not only victorious in that they vanquished their enemies, but they came back with an enormous amount of spoils from the battle as well. And the Torah describes, actually introduces to us a very important halacha. Moshe Rabbeinu comes to the Jewish soldiers and he says, wonderful, you have all of these new utensils. There's a concept of hechsher kelim. There's a concept that when you acquire a utensil, a Jew acquires a utensil from a non-Jew, you have to kasher it. You have to make it ready for service. Again, a utensil that was used for cooking could have absorbed non-kosher flavors. Therefore, there needs a kashering process to extract the non-kosher flavors. After kashering, you have to be tovel, you have to immerse it in a mikvah. And so the Torah says, this is in Parak Lamed Aleph Pasuk of Beis, chapter 31, verse 22. The Torah says, Aches hazov v'es hakesef v'es hanechoshes v'es habarza v'es habedil v'es alfares. So the Torah tells us about all these different metals, gold and silver and copper and brass and lead. And then the Torah goes on to say, how do you kasher these utensils? Essentially, there's a concept in halacha, kibolo kach polto. The way it absorbs, ultimately, again, is the way it emits. So if you use a utensil with a liquid medium, it absorbs through water, you extract the absorptions, you kasher it through water. You use a utensil with fire, it absorbs through fire, you could kasher it through fire. Rashi makes a fascinating observation. Rashi says the word in the pasuk is ach es hazov. Now, ach often translates as but, or except for. Now in biblical Hebrew, ach is called a miyut. Ach comes to exclude something. So Rashi says, what does ach come to exclude? Kilomar, he says, listen to this, he explains, V'raboseinu shetzarch lahavir chaluda shelo kodim shiagilanu. Ach teaches me like this. You can kasher a utensil made of gold, of silver, of copper, of brass, of lead, of any type of metal. However, ach, you can only kasher the utensil itself, meaning what? That if there's rust on the utensil, the rust has to first be removed. Ach means is an exclusion. You could kasher the utensil as long as there's no rust on the utensil itself. The rust has to be removed, and then you could pretty much kasher any type of metallic utensil. Shetzarech lahavir chaluda shelo kodim shiagilenu. You have to remove the rust before you kasher the utensil. And the Torah Kedosh is not just teaching us a lesson regarding how to kasher your utensils. Torah is also teaching us a lesson about how to kasher ourselves. Because each of us is a kli, each of us is a utensil. And the truth is, over time, it happens that my utensil, my kli, becomes treif. I have this absorption, this experience. I see this, I do this, I say this, I engage in this. And as a result, I have to go ahead and kasher my utensil. And it's my simcha chol yom, it's an everyday occurrence that my personalistic utensil, either accidentally or intentionally, absorbs something it shouldn't. And the beautiful message is, you can always kasher your utensil. You can always kasher your utensil. That's never a problem. But to kasher your utensil, you have to remove the rust. And what's the rust? I think if we're honest with ourselves very often in life, although we might have many different challenges, I have one or two things that I constantly, consistently struggle with. One or two things that's like the demon. It's like the demon that's always with me. It's the skeleton in the closet. It's not even in the closet, it's out of the closet. It's the thing I'm constantly struggling with day in and day out. And the truth is, very often what happens in life is I make so many strides, so much forward movement and momentum. And I take on this, and I do this, and I change this, and I change that, and all beautiful, all wonderful. But when I'm honest with myself, I haven't tackled my rust. The rust is still on the golden utensil. I've done so many beautiful, wonderful things in life, but the rust, that systemic issue, that systemic challenge, that thing that has been holding me back, that I've been struggling with for so long, I just can't, not that I can't, I haven't removed it from my kli. And the Torah tells us something very profound. You could have the most beautiful and wonderful kli. and you could kasher it, and you could purge it, and you could take on this and take on that, and change this attribute, and take on this behavior, and modify this, and do all kinds of wonderful things. But unless I'm willing to tackle my life rust, my kli cannot be kashered. Unless I'm willing to really acknowledge the rust that is overtaking my kli, until I'm really ready to tackle that consistent, systemic, ongoing challenge, I can never get my kli into the pure, pristine, and beautiful shape it's capable of ultimately coming into. And that's the Musar Haskell for us. It's normal for the kli to become treif. It's normal for the personalistic utensil to absorb something it shouldn't. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us, don't worry about it. You could always kasher. But find the strength to really identify the core issues. Find the strength to identify the things that are really holding me back. Identify the systemic challenge that I just can't seem to get out from under. Roll up your sleeves. Find the challenge to tackle it. Find the courage to finally remove the rust from the kli. Wishing everyone a wonderful day.